Let's focus on Facebook now, because the High Court in Dublin is to resume a case in which a privacy campaigner is trying to block Facebook from sending EU citizens' personal data to the US. Max Schrems wants the court to order the Irish Data Protection Commissioner to audit Facebook to see what material it passes on to US authorities. The privacy watchdog previously said the transfers were protected under the so-called Safe Harbour Agreement. But as I'm sure you're aware, a fortnight ago, the European Court of Justice ruled the pact invalid. So where are we now? Well, I'm joined by Mike Weston, Chief Executive of Profusion, which is a data analytical firm. Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
So just explain what this case is about today.
So it's a matter of principle, really. So the idea is in Europe our data is protected, our personal data is protected as part of a sense of a human right. We have a right to privacy in Europe. That right doesn't apply in the same way in the United States. There's some limited protection for US citizens over there, but none for non-US citizens. So essentially the US government and security services can do what they like with personal data that's sent over there.
And so anything that Facebook gathers, as it were, all the information that we put on Facebook, but all the information they gather from us as we use Facebook on our mobile devices, etc., like where we are, where we're going, what we're doing,
I mean,
what we're buying
Facebook
and
pretty
selling,
much knows
all that stuff.
Facebook knows more about us than we know about ourselves.
And this applies to Google, doesn't it? Any of these big companies where they get lots of data about us. So what do you think is likely to happen, and what will it mean for the likes of Facebook, Google and other American companies?
That's a good question, and a difficult one to really predict. What we think is going to happen is that we're going to rule that we can't ship data on private data on European citizens across to the US anymore, which will change, if you like, the plumbing and the way that the internet works, because the internet is based on this free flow of information, and the sense of privacy being somewhat protected through Safe Harbour has given us a false sense of security about that. Reality is US security services have been able to track that for some time, as Edward Snowden revealed. So what this is going to say is actually no longer can the US companies like Facebook and Google simply rely on that structure to be able to send our data across.
If Max Schrems is successful and, in a sense, our privacy is protected more, i.e. US authorities cannot just look at anything about us when they choose to, that presumably is good news for us, but it will also have negative impacts, couldn't it, in terms of our usage of things like Facebook and how easy things are? Yeah,
I mean, if you look at some of the discussions that are taking place in the US at the moment, there's this argument Zuckerberg is saying, well, actually slow down, US government, because if you continue with this access to private data, you're going to slow down the growth of the internet. You're going to bring everything to a bit of a grinding halt for us. And Facebook, like so many American internet companies, are reliant not just on growth within US borders, but internationally. And if there is reluctance or inability to share data freely with US companies, that's going to stymie Facebook's growth plans, Google's growth plans, the internet's growth plans. And as we were discussing a little earlier on, this idea that there's no really compelling European alternative to that makes us question exactly what we're going to be able to do online in future.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for coming in to demystify this. We're slowly getting our heads around this whole Safe Harbour drama. Thanks for coming in, Mike Weston.
Pleasure. Thank you.